For this next section, I'm going to give some background on a historic NVIDIA system. I'm going to explain the parts that a person needs to understand the next explanatory anecdote, which occurred approximately, I'll say, probably about 2017. Now, one thing that has happened in a certain type of design of graphic systems is you have various areas of RAM containing different bitmaps. When 3D graphics occurs, you have a large number of processors that access all these different bitmaps. And here's the thing. One thing you can do, I found a way to explain something. One thing you can do to describe a geometry, please, is take a 2D graphic paper and start drawing lines and, possibly even circles and stuff. Yeah, I said possibly even circles. The ultimate 3D graphic system has one area of RAM containing, please, compressed versions of those graphs, another area with all these bitmaps, another area with just whatever data is necessary. Then just a regular program written in C or frankly even Java, because there are ways to optimize Java. You better believe that. The ultimate graphics, frankly, takes a well-formed description written in just standard Java, puts it through some type of compiling system, and then you have video game graphics. Yeah, with Java, there's no reason to not have that. Seriously, you have no problem there. There is no reason, there is zero reason that a person cannot start a graphics algorithm in a well-known system such as JavaScript, other types of Java, or ideally probably BASIC. There is no reason not to have systems that allow things like rebirth of quick basic to form basic graphics methods. And then at later stages, those are transferred to very high-speed systems. This is applications of AI. The best application of AI is in data conversion. Taking things like basic code and generating a reasonable C code that's equivalent to it. That always has to be done anyway because processors, of course, run on machine language, which has its own assembly and other types of nonsense. Please. AI, a very specific type of translation AI that actually has been documented here at RioAN. We have a very specific type of translation AI which serves as a general purpose translator. And frankly, we have not explored how well this would work with Google Translate. But if it does, if that actually is a reality, we might sometime in the distant future, I'm going to say that to be safe, we might have in the distant future, like we're talking about 50 years from now, we might have in a distant future translation system saying you'll put in, what does hola gato mean? And system says, this is Spanish. Here's a text that says that gato means cat. That would be a proper translation, and that would lead to a very new type of international unity, where you no longer have to take the system's word for it. The system now has to put the money where its mouth is, and this would be the birth of a type of AI that actually can be held legally responsible, but that's way in the future. Of course, those who plan AI systems need to know about that today, because there are ways to graph that, but you ain't going to get anywhere if you actually believe that it is quote-unquote illegal. Seriously. To have the circle primitive in some type of custom 3D system. This is a type of thing that erupted on a game development forum. It should be noted that the people who make it, that this is not any type of AAA. This wasn't even indie. This was a forum of very sorry persons who basically took great glory in the fact that they made Tetris. Or I should say this, in the fact that they, please, followed very simple instructions to compile or pre-compile Tetris code, please. Basically, these people took great glory in basically running an app that pretended to make the person look like, please, they could compile source code. Frankly, these people took great glory in the idea that they lied about watching a YouTube video, most likely. Please. A problem occurred in that community when somebody, possibly from Taiwan or China or Japan, a very friendly person, stated, went on this community not understanding what it is. Yeah, a foreign person comes on this forum saying, I want an explanation of some technical NVIDIA code. And then he started talking about some of the things that were mentioned in some Microsoft literature. I only made 3 posts on that forum in my lifetime, and they were all related to this. The first post was a response to him. The problem is the second 2 posts. The second post was to defend that person. The third post was to defend the company administrating that forum. Because what happened was there were people actually threatening death if I, quote unquote, did not agree with Game Pro. That's equivalent to saying we need to do stuff to you if you don't agree with every single word out of the mouth of Linus from Linus Tech Tips. The problem is these people were next to actual police gun stores. Yeah, the other 2 posts were illegal cleanup. And the industry learned a lesson from that. Seriously. There are some ultra crazy out there. None of it actually makes games. In the end, this person was redirected to a Japanese forum where they actually are brave enough to talk about computational 3D graphics. The problem is a lot of that stupid mentality really seems to survive today, and it's going to come to an end pretty soon, or at least it's going to be pushed to quote-unquote boxing rings. There is a new mentality evolving in computers where people no longer want promotional nonsense. We're going back into an era that's reminiscent of the 90s, for those who are old enough to remember that. Back in the 90s, of which I still have some documentation, which I may share later, there were advertisements that went into great detail. There were magazines about the PC and advertisements that went into great detail about how very specific brands of computer hardware work. I have a magazine in my possession that actually has advertisement showing new types of video systems and all the information necessary for a person to reasonably ensure that this custom video hardware was reasonably compatible with several different types of standard PC. Even so, actually making any of this hardware work was both a personal and a tedious technical job. This was a lot of people who, unfortunately, most of them apparently fell down a weird Chinese thing. Yeah, after I was told that most of them ended up in China without authorization and got into serious trouble. So we're never going to see them again. Yeah, they were sucked into some weird type of Chinese girl thing, and they're never ever going to come out of that, unfortunately. I'm not going to deal with that. Seriously, they can just stay in that sex pit forever, as far as I'm concerned. Please. So we're not going to see most of those scientists again. Yeah, they're quickly, however, the void they're filling is going to be replaced by sports, please. We need a new type of man, a real man. The type that knows how to run the football and takes no nonsense in situations. You better believe it. I have an NFL football somewhere in the thing of stuff. Tell you the truth, I've actually done some of the drills that they do in college to learn how to run a football correctly, and that taught me a lot. As a programmer, I'm not afraid to hold a football correctly and do football drills in the neighborhood, and there are areas where I can do that, seriously. I'm not afraid to do that. Apparently, there are some people who work with Microsoft who couldn't handle a programmer doing that. Those people quickly installed malware that made low-light video very difficult, and that opened up a research into exactly how these digital cameras work, and looking for ways to solve problems with them. I'm now going to talk about proper applications of AI. Here's the first one. I'm going to come back and do something horrendous. But something I bought at the pharmacy supply store, please. At the pharmacy, the supply store which surrounds that pharmacy. Please. Okay, let's understand computers. As can be seen, there is no application of AI here if there's an implied addition sign right here. Okay, this is not AI. There is one correct card to put here. Every other card is wrong. There's no guessing. There's no thinking. So I'm going to find the 6th card because that's the correct card that goes in there. Here is 1. See, 2 plus 4 is 6. And nothing else. That's not AI. And that's an application as old as the computer itself. We might have a better way to explain computers. Seriously. You have no problem? This crap is actually very close to what happens, please, electrophysically inside a processor, please.